Hey, welcome back to the channel on the condo rehab. One of the things that I already have done is we came in here and started painting. We're changing from this blue to a white. It's one of the colors that it was suggested in here to kind of lighten things up. I didn't want to take a lot of time to show you how you go about painting a room, because I wasn't really sure if that's something that you were interested in. But I thought, well, at least show a little bit. We're going to go in and kind of take some of the brackets off and start trimming some things out, taping things up. But it's just really a simple process. I actually like painting just because it makes such a huge transition or transformation to a room. And as we're kind of continuing this, we'll end up painting all the rooms, and then we're eventually going to get in here and start replacing the bathrooms on the second floor. Then everything will be done. I'm still pretty happy with what I've done with the staircase. If you don't look too hard, it's not perfect, but that was my very first one. Hopefully it's not going to detract from anybody else wanting the property because of how that is built. But it is really, really strong. And so I'm really happy with it. But a craftsman always sees its flaws. I still have a few little things that I need to kind of take care of that are on the landing coming up, but it's just a little bit of trim work and I just need to spend some time to do it. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and just start working and taping this off, taking off some brackets so that we can get ready to paint. So I know there's a couple things that are a little strange here. So it's this over here. It's almost as though someone was playing darts. There's just nail holes or just pinholes all over the place. And then this right here, I'm just gonna have to be careful. There's a screw in here that is just, it feels like it's about ready to kind of snap off. So I really don't want to do anything with that. So I'll end up, after I finish this wall, get a coat on it, or actually just take and trim out. I'll work to pull the bed out. I've been told that this bed is really heavy, so I'll just kind of keep wedging it out until I get enough room to get up there to do what I need to do. Well, actually I didn't come back after lunch. We did come back in and I cleaned up the room here, took everything out, got the bed moved up to the side. However, I just stopped at that point. So today we're coming back in, everything's been taped. I'm gonna go ahead and start, I'm gonna sand the walls, make sure those are nice and smooth. And then we're gonna go ahead and put on our trim coat. We're gonna have 3 trim coats before we even start rolling. So I know that over here we had to do 3, and we'll do the same thing here. So let's just get cracking. So one of the things I like to do after painting, I actually like to come back with a wet paper towel and really kind of get any of the other residue off, but then it also allows for feathering. You could actually, instead of sanding, you could actually take and just use, you know, a wet paper towel and clean this up to get your feathering. But the biggest thing is just cleaning up the residue. And by doing this also, you can go back and see if there's any other spots, that some of the bigger holes that you may need to refill, because there's little dimple marks in it. But that should be good. So I'm going to go in and start trimming this out. So one thing that you can tell is that I don't have a tarp over all of this, which, you know, for the little amount that I'll be into some of these places, it really doesn't matter. The biggest part is that we get a nice coverage, and it could be thin the first time. What I like to do is a fairly decent size angled brush, and I'll just get my brush pretty well taken care of. But some of these areas where we know that we're going to have things over, I'll come in and I'll just go ahead and paint some of these out. And the tape is probably the biggest saver of time, because I really don't spend that much time trying to get nice clean edges or anything like that, just because this tape is really going to work for me the best that it can. So I could just kind of come in and kind of slop it on. Now this one here is a little different, just because I'm not really sure how we're going to do this, knowing that whenever we do take that out, it's going to actually snap in there. Now it's possible it could dry in there, and if that's the case, that's the case. So I come in and I take any of the corners, anything that I know that I don't want to get really close to with a roller, and I'll just take and paint it out. Some of these other areas, yeah, you can easily take and just make sure that they're covered. I know it's getting a little dark in here. But here's the good part about having this on. I know it takes a little bit of time, but see how quick that is. I would rather do that any day than have to sit and mess with trying to get nice and close and trim that out. It's just not worth the time. Now this right here, probably can't get a roller in pretty nice, so just go ahead and, you know, start your little coat there. I'm going to just kind of make this a little bit thicker in here. Doesn't have to be thick, it just needs to start. So let's go ahead and we'll continue this fun part. Any place where you know that the roller's not going to get around, go ahead and feather those out. So let's go ahead and just start doing that all over. When I take and I'll put a little material on, and then I'll start cutting it in. I don't put a bunch of paint on my brush, but I put enough. And you can see how that blue is still kind of streaking through, and that's where we know that we're going to have to do multiple coats. So, and this this paint is okay. It's not great, but you're still going to have that issue with whatever paint that you go with. So one of the things that I do is then I'll take and curve these corners, because it's all about, we're trying to do some rollers with that. And the less opportunity that somebody gets up in here with a roller, the better it's going to be all for the end results. So I'm getting just a little, and then I'll just put a little on there. And this makes it a little bit easier because you can actually get up on the wall. And I can't, I mean, you really can't with these kind of textured ceilings like this. You can't tape anything off. At least I can't. And to me, the effort to do that is probably a little more than what's needed. I can at least come through here. And so this brush is, it's a 2.5 inch, which is giving me a pretty broad coverage here. And that's what you're gonna want for, if you've got somebody coming behind you and doing the rolling, you really want to have that down far enough so that, if they can get the majority of this standing with a little rod and they don't have to do anything else, then that just makes it a whole lot easier. This little stand here, I don't know, $50, something like that. Fantastic. But a step ladder, something small will do, but that allows you to get a larger surface. So let's just keep on. One coat all the way around, and we'll just let that dry. It doesn't have to dry too long, just because we put it pretty thin. So if you had some thick on there, it's going to take a little while. But I'll let this tack up probably another, because this in here is dry already. But I'll let it dry just a few more minutes. And then I'll start going back the same direction that we did, and hopefully by the time we get to those areas they'll be dry. But looks like we only have to get the step ladder out once. We actually had to run it all the way across here, so that wasn't that fun because I didn't want to make it any higher than what it was there. But let's just take a little rest and then we'll continue on as soon as this dries another few minutes. Well, we're actually at a place where I've got the second on. Some places are really good. Other places, I'm kind of seeing, it could be drying too, but I'm seeing there's a difference, so we can still see a little bit of the brush strokes or the blue coming through. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and prepare to roll, and we're going to get this all rolled out, at least with the very first coat. And then if we need to go back, which I'm pretty sure we do, I'll go back again with a third coat of the trim. And I know that we only did 2 coats on the other side, so that'll be good from this end. So let's go ahead and we're gonna roll out these walls. So we got the first coat on, and it took me just until that very last thing to remember that I had a nice pole that I could use instead of doing what I did. I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to let this dry. We'll let it dry for, I'm gonna run over to Lowe's and pick up a couple things, but I'll let that dry until we come back. Yeah, it's already started to dry. So then we'll put a second coat on. And I'm looking around at the top. I think if we do a really good job of just getting as close to that as possible, I actually don't think that we need to trim that out again. I can see some spots up really close that I think what I am going to do is I am going to take the roller up a little higher on that. But I'm thinking we can get by with what we've got. So I'm going to do the roller, and then we're going to head over to Lowe's, and we'll come back and do the last coat. Well, I came back getting ready to start this, and I just was not feeling comfortable about the trimming out. So I went ahead and I put a third coat on that. I know that that's just perfect. So what we're going to end up doing is we'll end up painting this out. I don't have a whole lot of paint left, so I'm hoping it'll go pretty easy. I'm going to get this taken care of because this is where the bed sits. If we get into any problems with not having enough paint to do this, then it'll be a whole lot easier to get over here than it is there. So let's just paint away. I could not have planned that any better. There is no more paint. It is all gone. So this room, which is the same as the other room, with the exception of this door, so that's just a little bit. So we probably gonna have just a gallon in that other room as well. So that'll be good. But I'm gonna buy better paint if it's available in the same color. So we're gonna let this dry. Probably let this dry all day. May come back in this evening, put everything back up. But other than that, yes. It is finished. We'll clean it up. I do have to at one point paint all the trim again and then recaulk all the trim. But you know, that's at a different time. So that's gonna be it. I'll show you a picture once we have it all taken care of. Well, there you go. One more room done. I think it's looking really nice. And so you got the nice look downstairs. Real happy with how it turned out. The carpet's not all that bad, except for there's a stain right over here, but it's really not all that bad if you just keep it clean. Do need to get a new curtain rod up there. It's just kind of bowing a little bit because it's stretched out to its max. But real happy with how this room turned out. We're getting so close to having everything finished, but you know, I say so close, so we've got another room that all we've got to do is paint, and then we've got these 2 bathrooms that we need to come in and get them taken care of. We'll get into that in some other episodes, but if you haven't subscribed, please do, because it really helps us out, and also hit that thumbs up if you like the content. And also turn on your post notifications to catch all the episodes of the bucket list and especially the condo renovation. Thanks for watching.